I used to work on it for meat and paper company, right?
Sure.
So we stopped, we were a very sustainable paper company, we planted trees, did all that stuff. Are you in the forestry business, Marcy?
I was never in the business, but I
Knowledge law. I didn't do
Someone's
brain law,
together,
like
yeah.
laws,
Sorry.
pipeline,
Sorry,
law,
Jerry.
and
For some reason, I want to connect.
If I was out, but I'd be happy, so. doesn't
Sitting
matter.
in Bangkok,
I'm trying to, let me try and change. This was fun.
Stanley was with him. I crushed his sternum, punctured his lung, fractured. I'm telling you,
Edit.
behind his own I'm not laughing. Thank God we brought him. He's one of our closest friends. Our kids grew up.
I know, I'm sorry.
Thank God we brought him. His wife, the tree laying down, and it sunk him into the mud. And then Stanley was able to come down and cut it off. But it was crushed. Sternum was crushed, ribs were crushed. Well, they didn't even know until 2 days later he had a broken ankle. You know what I mean? Because he
wasn't a priority.
Yeah, it wasn't the priority, exactly, right? Kept complaining about his leg. They thought it must have had something in his back. No, he had a fractured ankle.
Hmm?
Yeah. He's gonna be all right.
No, they're
He's
right there,
back in the
Brian.
woods, all right. Yeah, 8 weeks later. I'm scared. I'm scared. I cut trees with him. That's why I asked him. And it's scary. Like, I've been out there with, and he used to always just say, just stay behind me, you'll be okay. Just stay behind me, you'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like, so, now I don't believe him anymore.
It gets very unpredictable very quickly.
Yeah, he said it was scary.
All right, we're live now, and I'm going to call to order the November 16th meeting of the Chenango County IDA. We'll roll call ourselves in.
Raymond, I'm sorry.
Is he on here?
Blanchard here.
Woodford here.
Burton here. IDA mission statement. It is the mission of the Chenango County IDA to advance the health, prosperity, and welfare of the county's citizens by helping to retain, create, and attract businesses through appropriate investments and incentives. We're going to skip agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the minutes of September 20th and October 18th, due to the fact that we would not have a quorum vote due to 2 people having to abstain because they weren't here. So we'll push those off to our November meeting. December, it is November.
Yeah,
All
crazy.
right, never mind, thanks, Jen. We'll move on to the financial report. Kathy Jo, you're up.
Okay, page 1 of the statement of financial position. We are at a net activity of almost 330,000. And then page 4.
What page you want us on 4 now, Kathy?
Yep, page 4, the statement of activities. The interest income we got was 3,000. That's really it, just the end of year so far net activity is 330,000.
And for those of you that weren't here last meeting, we had quorum enough. We had a presentation by Kristen Loader of NBT Bank, Treasury Management Services. On IntraFi, we are going to invest about $1 million into IntraFi. That process of setting that all up is still in motion. The bank got the paperwork back last week. Kathy Jo should be getting some direction on what to do next, and that was approved by the board. So interest income will continue to rise for us.
Yes, what I put in the budget for next year for interest income will be like 53,000.
Good.
Great. I'll move on. Any questions on the financials at this point? We're ahead of the game. Long and short is we're ahead of the game, way ahead of the game. Also in here is the 2024 draft budget. This is, again, just a draft. All budgets kind of go in conjunction, the DCC, the IDA, and Commerce. At the same time, they're all worked on at the same time because everybody's budget has a little bit of bearing on each other. This is the draft budget that Kathy Jo had put together and sent off to me and Sal, and I believe Jen had to kind of take a quick peek at, make sure things looked okay in there. And at the end of the day, there's a huge dollar amount. What'd you say that was, Kathy Jo?
The interest.
The interest?
No, you said right now the budget, we were way ahead on the next
Oh,
year's proposed budget.
yes, because I'm showing a net activity of 14,000, and that's not even including any projects that go through or sales that go through. So it could go up if we have
I mean,
those.
we've done a nice job of controlling our expenses over the past year, maintaining our income, and we'll continue to do those things. We've balanced the budget, just as Brian said, for the commerce budget balance. We were supposed to do that right after this one. It's a zero balance budget. The county approved the $159,000 request, which is the biggest portion of our overall budget. Then we've got the bed tax piece, which is the biggest part of our marketing budget. Once again, in the overall budget, we controlled our expenses and increased our revenue. So I think we're predicting a good year again in 2024.
And Pete, you on that finance committee still?
No.
It meets now December 6th, but we had to push it out. Too many people couldn't meet this morning. But again, if the budget balances, and we increase our revenue and we control our expenses again, I think you guys will be pleased with it. Kurt was he accepted it, approved it, and said present it to the board.
Good. If the rest of the board could just pull this out sometime over the next couple of days, take a quick look at it. If anything is glaring to you, please email Kathy Jo so that any adjustments can be made. Or questions answered.
Yeah, just one quick question.
Yep.
Insurance. That went down considerably, I'm presuming because of divestment property.
Because of the sale, part of Clark Park, I believe.
It was that and that Bainbridge property.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because it
Yeah,
jumped
I
up
assumed-
high, and then we got a refund and it went down.
Yeah, I'd sat down with the insurance agent when we were in the process of all those. And just made sure we weren't paying for insurance on things we didn't own anymore and whatnot. There was significant, because there's a huge cost for insurance when you own something and then rent it out to somebody else. So there was a pretty big refund that came back because we were able to drop that insurance.
Yes, that's why this year we will end with a credit of about $1,100, almost $1,200.
Okay. All right, I thought that was it, but
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure.
it's a good question.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the budget at this point? Good, moving forward. Checks, the usual, looks like the usual payment to the chamber, payment to Bonshank and Kane, small one, actually, that's nice for them. And everything Bakerly, the NICEAG payment, which gets reimbursed.
Yes.
I don't think the legal bill will be lower next month.
No, I already
So
got
enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah.
So we have been going back and forth a lot with the legal team because of the number of contracts we had and trying to move forward with some projects, including trying to get a dollar amount for decommissioning on the one that we're ready to pull the trigger on, sign off on, be done with. But we can't get any cooperation on that number at this point. And then, of course, we had the Bainbridge ones that we just shipped off. And that's technically 4 projects in one, so it's gonna be a pretty hefty cost.
But the pretty hefty revenue associated once we
Yeah.
get through
Yeah,
those
yeah,
projects. It's a lot of money.
It'll definitely be.
A lot of
awesome.
revenue for the IDA, for sure.
So, need a motion to approve the 3 checks.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond, aye.
You know why?
Blanchard, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Okay, Executive Director report. Sal, you're up.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to put the first 3, A, B, and C together, and they all center around workforce development, because I have a couple of other ones that I want to discuss in more detail. SME Prime is a manufacturing initiative that was taken on over in Unadilla Valley. Unadilla Valley is one of only 2 schools in the entire country that SME Prime Foundation has partnered directly with to institute the types of skills necessary for kids to come out of there and be prepared for the types of industries in this area. So SME Prime speaks to the people in the area and says, what are the types of manufacturing skill sets like welding or robotics? What are the things that kids need? And they focus on what they call these micro credentials or badges. And they're teaching them directly in Unadilla Valley. And kids are coming out with promised jobs because companies like Corning and Oneonta are direct sponsors of these programs. We're trying to figure out how to replicate that in all the schools and or figure out how kids in Norwich or Sealick can take classes in Unadilla Valley. We got buses coming from BOCES all over town 4 times a month. I'm sorry, 4 times a day, coming and going. How do we get Morrisville engaged to say, how do we teach these classes to everybody, right? And what other ones should we be teaching? That takes you down to the next one, which Morrisville is partnering directly with Achieve. Achieve has a great number of what we call direct service professionals, people that provide one-on-one care for people that have different types of challenges. There's all kinds of micro-credentials or badges that help people deal with these individuals better. Things like crisis management, things like basic CPR classes, things that would make you more promotable. How do we take those same badges and teach those to kids coming out of high school so they're prepared? And what should those badges look like? So again, you take that to the next one down. That's going on right now with Achieve in Morrisville. They're teaching these direct service professionals how to get these credentials. Same types of credentials should be valuable to people at CMH, should be valuable to our nursing homes, at Chase Memorial in New Berlin, and should be valuable to our high school kids that think they might want to go into those areas. And that leads me to the last one, which is the Superintendent Summit, which we have again this evening. Superintendent Summit is really a combination of all of the area superintendents, including BOCES, and our cross-representation of about 24 business leaders from all over the county, all different industries, from service to manufacturing. Talking about what are these credentials and what would be the most valuable, what would be the most useful, how do we distribute them? We're fortunate. There's a guy named Terry Doherty, who's now the interim superintendent at Oxford. He comes from Hancock. He was a superintendent at Hancock, and he's a doctor. He's wicked smart, and he's done an entire research presentation on what he's calling badging. And it's exactly this concept. Kids coming out of school, we know how to prepare kids to get into college. We know how to prepare kids to take standardized tests and to pass regents. We don't know how to prepare kids to come out of school and operate forklifts. We don't know how to move materials. I use my example, you poor guys are gonna have to hear it again in an hour about, I talk to Carrie Bio and they say, hey, if you teach a kid and give him a micro-credential, a badge in material movement, and he's certified in OSHA safety, he's got some APICS, he knows what lean is, he understands how to lift carefully, he knows how to move a pallet jack, all the things we would teach you if you came in here and got hired right out of the gate, we'll give that kid a chance right out of high school. Okay, what other badges do we need to create? How do we distribute that and disseminate it so everybody has access to it? There's something there the businesses should figure out. The question is, Morrisville wants to help with this because they're losing enrollment and they would like to figure out how to be more valuable. And now we got to figure out how to be paid for all this. How does this all, how would it all work? How would you fund it? There's something there, and we're going to continue to work at it. Any questions on that? There's a lot of stuff centered around. And that ties, that you guys are going to hear me. Imagine how this connects to our job fairs or our hiring events, right? If part of these micro credentials include how to create a resume, how to show up, what it means to be a professional, understanding you got to take a drug test on time at 8 o'clock means you're working at 8 o'clock, right? So we'll teach all that as part of these micro credentials, and then think about how much more effective. Also, if we utilize businesses, if NBT is teaching a customer service micro-credential, how to handle money, how to deal with people, what to do with a credit card, how do we keep people on hold, and the people helping give this are doing it either remotely or live to all the kids in the county, and it's somebody like Bill Butcher from NBT's HR department. Well, boy, when Bill Butcher's at the job fair, he's much more approachable. Instead of having kids that don't know how to walk up to somebody because they don't, we saw that. Jen and I saw all these kids I talked to, showed them how to write these resumes. They walked in there and they all stood there like this because they were afraid. Well, we'll break those barriers down if we can get these. The comment that really made me think there was an avenue here was that Scott Ryan said, I have dozens of colleges that come in here every year and want access to my kids to recruit them. I don't have any businesses coming in here to recruit them. So I said, okay, well, we gotta give them a reason to do that. They need, businesses say it, the kids aren't ready. Can't pass the drug test, don't have the skills. Okay, well, how do we fill the gap? Put them together. That's what we're trying to do. More immediate, there's a meeting on,
The
next week.
21st.
21st, Freedom Farms. If you guys haven't heard from them, they came to us via Shane and then Diane Scalzo was down there. Shane took an agri-tour there last year. They are in green, 2 people, former New York City residents. The guy's a dietitian expert. He worked for the Yankees for years, had a World Series ring. I mean, the real deal, 40-something years old, I would guess. He and his wife, extremely professional, came up to this area for visits, decided they wanted to do something. Remember, he's a nutritionist. So he gets into this whole organic farming. So you can, I encourage you, go online, Freedom Farms Inc. Chickens, geese, pigs, cows. You can order everything from a pound of bacon and they'll ship it to you to a pig to a cow. Our CEO and I want a quarter of a cow. They literally will wait until there's 3 other people that want the quarter of the cow. They will not buy or start to raise that cow until you're committed to it. You name it, you get it, you go there, they have a harvest day. It's a cool concept, right? And it's expanding. They ship all over the country. They butcher in Moravia, they pack back in their farm, and so it's inefficient, right? So they want to figure out how to get some of that more efficiently done. I think there's a building in green. I'm guessing it's the Great American building, but they don't want to tell us. They want to get the packaging off the farm, and they want to buy that building, $257,000. So I think we can look it up. They're looking for traditional lenders, and they also, we thought, they came to us and wanted to know how much we could loan them, and we can't move quickly enough. They want to move more quickly because production is ramping up. So when we're going to meet with them, Brian, was we considered the IDA could buy the building. We could think like an everything bakery. That's a potential. They could buy it via traditional lending if they've got the money to be able to do that, and then consider how they might develop it with the IDA as a partner if they want to make investments and do that. But it's going to create jobs. And I encourage you, I want others to look at that. I've been out to the farm. I've met with them a couple times. They're bright. They're very eager. They need more land because they everything is organic, so everything is just free roaming. So they need more farmland. They need some place to process closer to home if they could, and they certainly need a better packaging facility. So more to follow. I just wanted it on our radar. I encourage you guys, look them up. It's exciting. The other one that you guys,
Sal,
yes.
where's the farm
it's
located?
if you come down into Green Pea, it's going out towards going back towards Smithville or towards on the right hand side of Green. I can't think of the county road it's on.
Is it on Hot Road?
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
Okay,
I think it's out on Hot Road.
It's coming back towards McDonough. You know what I mean? It's coming back towards McDonough.
okay.
You know, it's going back towards
It's around the
Chenango.
Green Smithville line, basically.
It's beautiful. I mean, they're up on the top of the hill. They got, I forget how many hundreds of acres, but they run out of land. It's really worth going online. It's worth visiting. It's a really cool concept, and they seem to be very successful. So we'll know more as we meet with them. 2 other ones, Shane and I were at, I won't give, I don't know how much he'll speak about it at the PED meeting, but we were at a broadband initiative meeting. There's a lot of things going on there. I didn't put it on our initiative just because things continue to move quickly. You guys have heard us talk about our desire to try to figure out how to move broadband up and down the railroad corridor. As we think about how to use that corridor, it has no impact on what we decide to do with the railroad. We can decide whatever we want to decide with the railroad, but using that to get broadband up and down the line was something we were exploring. It appears that might be a challenge because of the expense. Good news, I think, Shane, I think, did you ever speak to Jeff?
I did.
Okay, and I'd love to hear that update because I did. He left before I got to him. So we were worried, but there's a group called the Southern Tier Network that provides middle mile to places in the Southern Tier. And Shane, through his connections with Jen Gregory from Southern Tier A, Shane sits on that broadband board. We submitted our project of trying to get the middle mile. He submitted our project of trying to get our middle mile approved, and it wasn't the best project deemed by Jen Gregory. But then we got nervous because it might be too expensive because we need a provider to provide it. But then Shane has an update on that.
So actually, it's through Southern Tier 8, they delegated or they motioned to put all $2 million that were allocated through the IIJA money towards that project. So we've already secured $2 million for that. And then at our conference yesterday, I did talk to Jeff, and they actually have a meeting today with EDA to secure additional funding.
So, because you can do it on poles,
It won't be
right?
on the railroad.
On poles, right? You can do it on poles, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially on poles.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, really, think about that. You could light the valley up with broadband and all the different things things that potentially to attract other businesses that would want to develop here in support of Micron from green to, and then you combine municipal electric. This is what I didn't understand it yesterday. Shane finally connected the dots for me. Bill Acey, you guys know Bill Acey, Mayor of Sherburne, very well respected throughout the state for his capabilities and being a successful municipal electric. And there were examples yesterday of others that have not been as successful. Bill actually spoke. I didn't understand the connection between broadband and municipal electric, and Shane said it simply, they have the capabilities to run the wire. They know what they're doing, and they have the capabilities and understand how to service the poles, and that's the most important part, right? And I'm like, makes sense. You got a proven guy that knows how to do it. And AC's all fired up about it. So is Hamilton and Green, both have approved. So we're right in the center of that middle mile. It seems like a perfect opportunity. And so what might that mean? You guys have heard me talk about US Silicon. That's not on here before. US Silicon makes those big cubes of insulation materials. They came to us about 7 or 8 months ago, maybe 7 or 8 months ago, through their realtor. And they told us they had a company that was looking to purchase a building, CWS building. They didn't want to discuss too much about it. They wanted to know how might the chamber be able to help them. Jenna and I got together with Eric Scribner because the reason they wanted to look at Norwich is because it's in the economic development zone, and so it qualifies for certain grant. They were looking at the original CWS building on the corner of Walnut and Midland, and they got $900,000 worth of grants. They were going to buy that building outright, and that applied for the grants. Eric Scribner advised them to apply for the grants first, because then they could use that to purchase the building, which then gives them more development capital. So they're coming, and that they signed the PSA the day after that. You should see a story in the paper today. They're incorporated out of Delaware. I'm not sure where their production facility is. I believe it's someplace downstate, but they're foreign. They're from Eastern Europe somewhere, and they'll be here in December. And Scribner and Jenna worked very closely with them to get 2 separate grants that should be 50 to 55 jobs in downtown Norwich. They're going to buy half that parking lot across. So right down that corner, as you guys leave town today, go down there, about $5-6 million of development going on to be achieved. There should be another $4 to $5 million worth of development going on that corner right there, and 50 to 55 manufacturing jobs right in the center of the county. So it's a big deal. I think it'll be a big deal. So hopefully they'll be here. I don't know what other will. I guarantee you they will come. They are not adverse to using whatever opportunities they can to gain leverage. So they'll come to the IDA for whatever they might be able to, if it will help them get up and running quicker. And I think their anticipation, their logic is, so tie that back to the broadband conversation, and is that, and God willing, you can get this solar project off the ground with Arcadia and have lower priced electricity. Their anticipation is there will be development in this area because of Micron. There will be building projects in this area. They don't want to be as far away from the production because it's an expense shipping that stuff. So the closer they can be to the demand. So that means somebody believes there's going to be more development in the area. How do we figure out ways through broadband and other things like that to attract them? Then that leads me to the last one, Brian, as far as income goes, just overall conversation. I don't know what role the IDA will have in it, but you guys know we own the building next door, the Cottage Bakery building. We rent this space right here. This is 15 South Broad. It is essentially half the square footage of what's over there in the Cottage Bakery. We rent this half. It was configured specifically for the chamber, 15 years ago, I believe, prior to the Hayeses who are here now. This space is, we pay $1,600 a month in rent. We charge $1,600 a month in rent. We pay utilities in both buildings. That building is, like I said, twice as big as this building. This building is considered by our landlords to be underpaid in rent. We pay half as much rent as we should according to square footages of other places that are rent, theoretically, if you could get somebody to come. So they would like to remodel this building, utilize that elevator, more importantly than anything else, forget how much space the chamber has, because the Hayeses have been wonderful partners. They want to utilize this elevator so they can put housing up above as part of the DRI project. Can't do that if this is the chamber. But they could if they could divide this building and put the chamber in the front or the chamber in the back. And then I started thinking, okay, well, if I think about this all from our own perspective, if we own a house, we rent a house, we're paying 2 utilities in both, I've got to move into maybe a quarter of the same size house for the same price that I'm charging somebody over there. Financially, it doesn't make sense. So we're exploring right now with some engineers, the O'Reilly brothers, principal engineer, what would it take to cut that building right down the middle? Because it's a wide open footprint. We could redesign it, and I'll just do it as simply as I can. It looks just like this. And it is literally a wide open footprint. You can divide it right down the middle with a vestibule where you walk in and you go this way to the Cottage Bakery, you go this way to the Chamber. Cottage Bakery moves into, go over there and look, it's 90% books. They are very comfortable that they can do this, Cottage Bakery. So we wouldn't hurt them at all. You put them in there, instead of charging them $1,600 a month, charge them $1,000 a month, right? Chamber moves in over here. We can set this up, and in addition to being able to house all of us easily and have a boardroom, we would put some offices in, like these over here, that Giovanni uses and others, and there'll be lockable offices that people can use when you have auditors come in from MET. We have hotels down here, you have people traveling. I used to do it, when I would do it, you'd go to WeWork, so you'd go to a Staples. They'd have a lockable office, you could go in, I could rent a conference room. Chamber could have it just for chamber members as a benefit. If you come here from out of town, we'll advertise that as a place for people who are traveling to come in here and stay. And then now the chamber pays the DCC $1,000, and then the DCC pays nothing. So we can start to say, okay, your share of the $1,000 would be a third. Everybody's expenses go down. We stop paying, we can keep paying these utilities. We don't pay utilities here. Long story short, a developer would take this building now. We tried to sell these two buildings, 17 and 19, numerous times. Nobody wanted to do that. Once we put these plans together and say, hey, let's conduct an RFP. Somebody will want to buy this building. So now you have two tenants, including the chamber, who might sign up for a 15-year lease if somebody would remodel this for us. There's also monies available if the chamber or the IDA decided to stay in there. There's grant monies available for service organizations to do this work. So the chamber might want to buy it from the DCC. I know the DCC is not supposed to own real estate according to their bylaws. There's some things there that the IDA can. The IDA could buy it. We could lease it back. $120-something thousand owed on the mortgage right now. So it doesn't cost much to service the mortgage. That's really all we're charging now. We could turn this into a win and we could give the chamber a permanent home, or we could put this up to some developers and put it back on the tax rolls. Right? It's different because it's not on the tax rolls now. So you could say, okay, conduct an RFP. The Hayeses buy it, the O'Reillys buy it, Brian Burton buys it, somebody buys it and says, hey, it's back on the tax rolls now. And so now you got two buildings on the tax rolls because they're for profit, right? So different ways to think about it. I just wanted some other people that are more versed and well thought out than I am to think, how might we, first questions first, right? How much to remodel it? And then what avenues? This was pursued through donations. There are donations out there we could pursue. There's the Greater Norwich Foundation. There's all kinds of places we could go to for money. And there are state grants to remodel for service organizations. So I just wanted it on your radar. If anybody has any thoughts around it, you can give them to me separately, publicly, however you want to do it. But this doesn't make sense. Renting here and charging rent there doesn't make sense. So and paying utilities in both doesn't make sense. Utilities are actually less over there than they are here. So, I mean, we don't even have to divide the utilities. We can just charge her a fair price and have a portion of that be her utilities. And then literally the chamber, DCC, and the IDA would all be better off. Hayes understand it. And I've had a conversation with them. They have held our rent for 4 years. They were frustrated, I'll be honest with you, that, they've continued to try to kick this down the road because they wanted a decision on whether or not we could go into half the building. And I said, I understood that. They should continue with their plans accordingly. They should do what they need to do because we respect them. I feel responsible to do the right thing, but I have an obligation to do the right thing to the chamber, and they completely understood. So it's not like it's not like they were doing back. Chris was like, well, I'll buy the building then. And I'm like, I can't do that. That'd be like, you can't just point it to somebody. If we want to conduct an RFP, that would have to be something the board tells me to do. So that's where we're at on those things. That's my executive update. I'm done.
Can we rewind for a second and do a motion to approve the financials, please?
Oh, we didn't do that?
Nope.
We got too involved in the budget.
Don't
Can I get a motion to approve the financials from October 31st?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond, Blanchard, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Bert, aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Sal. There's a lot of stuff there.
There's a lot of stuff
Yes.
going on.
I just want to add one thing to, as you're talking about, coming up with intern programs, certification programs for high schoolers. The Board of Regents met this week, and the topic of conversation was changing what qualifies you to get a diploma in New York State. Right now, you can get 3 diplomas. You can get a Regents diploma, a local diploma, and master's or advanced Regents diploma. All basically based around your core courses, right? Science, math, so on and so forth. A lot of the conversation revolved around getting rid of the 3, having a diploma, and then having certifications under your diploma. So I'm a Master of Science. I get a little gold star on my diploma that says excelled at science or something like that. But the much bigger topic was not training in books. It was financial literacy would be a requirement, as an example. Internships at businesses would be part of the diploma requirements. So moving on to more real life experience to qualify to graduate from high school. So one thing that the community's got to be ready for is, all right, so if doing internships and getting certifications are going to be a requirement to receive a diploma, our businesses, our factories, our industry has to be ready to be able to accept those students in, to be able to do that for them, right? So,
Taylor, 2 things. Taylor's, first of all, on the committee that helps us with the superintendent summit and has responsibility for HR at Goldman's, right? So as you think about this, she's the perfect person to engage. That's exactly, Brian, what this group is trying to figure out how to do. So create some mastery of this. And the way that we think we can do that is the businesses that we've had there are eager for our response to come back after our first meeting is about 90-something%. And the people that can't are sending representatives that couldn't make it because they're the ones, Brian, the superintendents are saying, to your very point, we don't have people that can teach kids how to move a forklift. That's not something they come out of Cortland knowing how to do. They don't come out certified in that. So who's going to do that? Raymond says, we need him so bad, we will. We'll help develop. Goldens need customer service. I guarantee you NBT will help us figure out exactly what that looks like, whatever the training and then at the end of the day, that's the exact point that the superintendents make. They need buy-in because they need the schools or they need the business to say, we're going to actually help you teach it, right? So if we can get them in the ground floor, why else make the engagement if you're not going to bring these kids back? The ones who do it really well, Raymond does it really well, and they do it well with certain districts. They do it well with Bainbridge. They do it well with Sherber. For some reason, they don't do it well with Norwich or Norwich BOCES. And it's because of the difference in terminology between what's called an internship or job shadowing and what's required for both. And so it's breaking down those barriers and saying, what's required to get some level of entry? Because even when you get hired at Raymond to be a welder, you don't get to go build forklifts. You start in the training dojo and you do all these different things. So how do we teach that? Or the basic parameters to get you in the training dojo everywhere. I'm not trying to take away from anything that BOCES is doing because BOCES teaching kids how to have mastery of welding is different than a certification in welding manufacturing. That's different. That means you can get your foot in the door. It doesn't mean you can go build pallets. There's different levels of this stuff. I'm not proficient at it, Brian, but what you're describing is exactly what this Terry Doherty has tried to be convincing. Has tried to convince the New York State Board of Regents. He's been in front of them during making these presentations, saying he calls them schools of the community. Whatever and Morrisville gets it. They're saying, okay, 2 year. I swear to God, don't quote me. I could be wrong about that. I think there's 34 full-time students enrolled over here at Morrisville, right? That's it, 34. So they're hurt. They need more people to be engaged there. So how does he fill what the community needs? If the community needs a well-trained workforce coming out of high school, well, he thinks like this, and I like this guy, he being Tom Paluski, saying, hey, I teach these Morrisville classes in Norwich and I think in Unadilla Valley. Kids can take college level credits from Morrisville. 99% of the kids that take those classes are going on to college, and 99% of those kids don't go to Morrisville. So he said, that's not serving me. They're getting lower priced credits and taking them to Cortland, taking them to SUNY. He said, I want those kids that want the badges because they're not going on to college, but now I get to introduce Morrisville to them as a tool to be better prepared. So if they want to continue on, I'm going to talk to them about how might they get an associate's degree, how might they continue on to get a degree in another chosen field. So that's what we're trying to put together here.
Yeah, there's a great article in Syracuse.com online. It's not one of the paid subscriber articles, and it really steps out everything that they were talking about in what it would take to get a diploma in high school now, and what's on the table.
This is gonna be a big ask of businesses and stuff. How many graduates do we have in Chenango County every year?
Yeah, it would be, right?
And
Yeah.
how much time do each one of those have to intern? And that's year after year after year.
Yep.
And the other challenge, we're a rural county.
Yeah.
How do you get these kids, some of
South
them,
Dot Sea Lake.
to
And
the
that's
employer where they may want to be? You know,
Right.
that's
And
an
so
obstacle.
And that's exactly what all the things. So what needs to be true in order for this? And again, there's places that do it now. So imagine there are literally, I forget how many hundreds of kids, but if you just take the biggest ones, let's call it, there's probably in Chenango County at any given time about 800 graduates, right? Roughly, a little less than that probably, because 8 school districts, BOCES figure on average, probably less than that. Half of those kids aren't going on to college, right? 40% of those kids, 43% of those kids aren't going on to college. So that's several hundred kids spread out. So the question is, okay, what types of basic skills would get them the most up to? Think about, I'm just going to break it down. Customer service. Let's just say there's a customer service module because that used to be something I did at ACCO, right? How to handle a credit card, what are the rules, how long to keep somebody on hold, what to say in a professional email, how to escalate things, just basic things like that, right? That you would have to be able to go through, even if you were, 30 years old and you came to work over there in the customer service world, we're going to teach you all those things. How would we teach that? And who I think wants to try to help us with that, Jeff, is Morrisville says, okay, if we could teach that, they have 5 remote learning classrooms over there. So imagine if they could get somebody to help them teach this custom. And they have adjunct professors. Danny Moravito used to teach a class in Oneonta on insurance because he had that experience. They hired him to do it 2 nights a week. So if we had somebody come in that could teach you a customer service module, and they were doing it in Morrisville, and maybe they're broadcasting it to every school at the same time. So that means then schools would have to say, okay, at 11 o'clock, that's when you're going to get this badge, and at 12 o'clock, and it's this badge. Could it be done? I don't know. They're coming here on buses to go to BOCES 4 times a day. A bus comes from Sea Lake and Oxford. Can they come to Morrisville too and drop kids off if it's pallet jack trade? I don't know. I don't know. What I'm saying is right now kids are coming out of there without those skills.
I think we're talking about 2 different things
Okay.
out here. Because what you're talking about is getting a high school diploma, period. So every graduate's got to do some type of internship. Your stuff is totally focused on the people that don't want to go to college, want jobs, that
Yes,
kind of
yes.
thing, which is a great thing.
Yes.
But this is way bigger, I think.
Could potentially be, yes, right. Especially,
I think
so in
about what-
Syracuse, this is an easy ask, right?
Sure.
Right? In Binghamton, your Albany.
Bigger
In
districts.
upstate New York, it's going to be a much more difficult ask, right? Because who can participate? So one of the things, I'll just give you an example. MBT Bank, I constantly get calls from my branch managers in the small little town saying, the school district wants, they got a kid that's interested in finance. They want to know, can he come in for the next 3 months and chat him? No. And here's why. A, you're dealing with private information. B, can't be bonded if he's not employed. And we have to bond our employees. So there's a lot of roadblocks, right?
Liability issues, there's all kinds.
Yeah, so one of the things that's gonna have to be worked out, obviously, is MVT is going to probably, as the largest employer in Chenango County, is gonna have to figure out how can we bring in high school kids? Are there certain aspects of the bank that they can work in without having to go through all those? Can we bond somebody that's not? Things of that nature. So you're right, there's gonna be a lot of roadblocks, and there's only so many places to choose from,
Right.
right?
But Jeff, and Brian, what if this, because Florence is in those meetings with us, right? And so is MBT's trade. What if, instead of having to bond them and bring them in and do all those things that would make that, what if you taught those kids those exact same things while they're in school?
Yeah, well,
In the classroom.
that's the other side.
What if
We
they
go to
taught
the
them
classroom, but now
exactly-
you're pulling
Doesn't-
your workforce,
that
right?
doesn't do the internship required part.
Necessarily, right?
It might.
Certain things it could.
It might, it might be, because then you could then potentially then say, okay, part of the curriculum would be, and Jeff, you're putting up the good thing. So if an internship is part of that, in order to get it, then what does that look like? Because you're putting them, if material movement actually means some kids gotta
That's right.
do a pallet jack, where are we doing that? In the parking lot? Are we doing that at Raymond? I'm serious. You're asking questions that are valid. And by the way, I'm happy, Jeff, the superintendents are asking. Because here's what the best part about this was, the superintendents did not say, the businesses are failing our kids. You're not hiring these kids. I'm turning on a bunch of kids. The superintendents are saying, we're failing our kids. The superintendents came here and said, we're not doing a good job because fewer kids are going on to college and fewer kids are prepared to go to work. So they literally came right in here and said, we need help. How do we prepare them for that, right? So we started out with job fairs. You saw what we tried at first, So then it became clear they need different. First of all, kids don't even know. When I would go into the schools and talk about them, if you talk about the opportunities, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I used to be out in the world where Golden's would be. If people know you could go to work at Golden Arts College and someday travel all over the world. You could literally potentially, that would be exciting to kids. You could work on projects that literally show up in museums and you could someday be engaged. That would light fires. How do we do that? How do we inspire kids to know you can go from working at a calendar place in Sydney to literally doing lots of different things? Raymond has tremendous opportunity. Allergen, the average kid at average guy working on the line at Allergen makes $67,000 a year before overtime. That's how much the average, and I don't know if kids know that. I mean, like, how do we light that fire? And how do we then get them the skill sets to get in the door? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I'm going to try to put a bunch of businesses and a bunch of schools in place together to say, you got this resource of people. You got this need because we got hundreds of jobs. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you look right now, I met with MBT. MBT has 95 job openings right now. 95 job openings right now. MBT's, the most of them are retail facing. So you mean to tell me I can't teach a kid how to be a teller his senior year in high school? I bet you I can. I bet you I can teach kids how to be tellers, right? How to answer the phone and go, MBT, can I help you? There's rules associated with all of that stuff. Honest to God, I could get somebody from Sydney to teach that and how to do that. And Sydney would hire them tomorrow. People that, I don't want to do that for ACO, but they would hire them tomorrow to go up work. There's a controlled room. Everything's locked. You got to secure access for all that credit card. I mean, I guarantee, I talked to Joe Stagliano. Joe Stagliano says, we'll help you design the curriculum and we'll give those kids a 90-day chance coming out of it because they have to pass some kind of mastery. They have to pass a test on that, right? By the way, wouldn't it be cool if part of the mastery was the drug test? Because now you save all these businesses the hassle of that stuff, right? Gonna have to pass it to get here, right? If you want to go to work at NBT, you gotta pass that drug test. Now you'll cut down the number of kids that are wasting people's time in those classes. There's ways to do it. I just don't know how, and I need help.
So there's two things that I can guarantee. One, it's gonna be a while before they make any changes.
Yeah.
It's coming from the state level.
There's gonna be bumps along the road.
Two, they're gonna tell school districts they have to do it and not
Tell them how.
Finance.
tell them how or finance.
Right.
Right, so
Yeah.
we probably have a while yet. It's nice that they're finally talking about it, right? So the regent's degree only matters to schools inside New York. They don't even know what the regents is outside of New York, right? So I like where they're going. I like the concept of what they're talking about. And I do. I would ask you to go read that article and just, there's probably 20 bullet points of things they're looking to potentially institute, right? It's just, sounds like it was a brainstorming session where they said, let's incorporate all these things. A lot of stuff about STEAM now, right? Not necessarily having individual core courses, but a core STEAM program. things of that. And I can tell you in our building project here in Norwich, one of the major focuses inside the high school building was a steam room. And what should that look like? So I implore you, go look at it. It could have major, like Jeff said, effect on school districts, local businesses, things of that nature. But we can start having those conversations now, right? But I'm gonna guess we've got some years before we have to truly worry about it. But it's finally being talked about, which is really good.
And I want you guys to know, back to the point Jeff made earlier, I'm much more focused, Jeff, on just that one element, helping kids figure out how to get skills necessary to get a job. Because I need to do that for these kids that are graduating in May. And if we help, I think, Jenna, we got a benchmark. Hiring about last year, 4 kids got a job, 1 kid quit the first day, so we don't count it. 3 kids got a job, swear to God, MBT. First day, I was going over to take pictures. I got food service business, was gonna go to work there, had a paper coming with me. We were so proud. We were gonna be hiring day. Remember I talked about all that stuff? I got a call, said, kid quit. So yeah, so we never made it. So that's the benchmark. If we do better than 3, we're making progress, right? We got 3 kids' jobs. I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna get double digits next year. That's gonna be our directive.
That is 750.
Yeah, we're gonna try, start somewhere.
All right, well, good. Thanks for that update. Any other comments, questions on it? Good, great conversation. I know it doesn't affect the IDA directly, but, you know, it speaks to the community that we're helping out. So, good stuff. Thanks. Pilots, Jenna.
So as Brian said, the Smyrna Solar, we're still waiting on an answer. I have probed every single person on that application, as well as our legal team. I have not gotten any sort of answer. So that's kind of on hold. We told them it was on hold until we got that response, and they still have not responded. So that's in the back burner for right now.
So at what point, I guess, at some point, do we just throw a dollar figure in that?
Well, I
I
don't
don't
know, Ron. I'm
Would
not
that
sure
be up
what
to
do.
us? I mean,
I, just my gut talking, but I think that number has to come from the proposer.
I agree with you.
I would think so.
Well, and you know what? They're not holding us up.
Right, it's not us, right? We're not with them.
No.
We've incurred our expenses. We're not incurring any additional expenses. So I said to Jenna, just tell them it won't move forward without the IDA has other things that we focused on. Because to me, it bears significance that they might not be that serious about the project. If they were really burning it. I'm gonna tell you, the guys from the Payne Solar Project, they're burning a fire to get it done. I mean, they'll send, but they're sending us paperwork as consistently as they can, right? So there's not any, if Smyrna doesn't, I don't understand what, they were hot and now they're not.
Well, we ran into an issue, didn't we, in Smyrna with the land itself and there being a line?
Location.
Yeah. So maybe that's kind of slowed things down and they're not, so
Yeah,
that's become priority 1.
Yeah,
This is priority 5.
yeah, I've reached out to them several times. And
Okay.
so-
All right, well, just keep us updated. Thanks.
I will do so. The Bainbridge Solar, so in your packets, the last 4 stapled documents are the inducement agreements and other agreements that we had our legal team draft for the 4 different technical projects for Bainbridge. So as soon as, this is the process, basically we do the inducement agreement, sign off on the inducement agreement. We then have to do the public hearing, sign off on that, and then we can begin working on the very last page, which is the financial portion of it. So we need to sign off on the inducement agreements first, as long as you guys are okay with them. So we can, these were not sent out in your packets. I can send these out via email and then we can approve them in December, if that works for you guys.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we have to send them certified to the
Yeah.
10 people listed on there.
Yep. Okay.
And whatnot. Yeah, so when we sent this to the attorney, when we sent the original applications to the attorney, they pushed back and wanted a few more things. We were able to secure those going forward.
And I don't believe this would be the time frame where we would do the decommissioning. I think that's after the public hearing that we would start that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that was the right answer.
Yeah.
The thing is, yeah.
Good. Continue to move forward.
Okay.
This one.
Yes. And that's all we have in the pilot so far. except for there is one that we just received and I shared it with the board, but this is through Afton. They're asking us to just declare that we don't want to be lead agent on the solar.
Does Afton want to be lead agent?
I just received this yesterday.
Yeah.
I have
I
not
haven't
had,
looked at it, Brian.
I haven't had a chance
I
to
was
review
looking at
anything.
it.
So obviously we prefer not to be lead agents. We really don't have to.
That's
So as long as Afton, because somebody's got to be lead agency,
Mhm.
and if, as long as Afton wants to be lead agency, they can do so.
I'll check with them and make sure that that's what they want.
Do we need a resolution?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find out what Afton has to do.
Yeah. So I'll send this out as well with everything that I send out for the Bainbridge so that you guys can review that as well.
Thank you.
And that's it for solar.
Okay, new business, RFQ for auditors. So we have to get every 2 years. And generally, 3 years, sorry, thanks, Jen. What we generally do is we put out an RFQ that would include not only auditing us, the IDA, the CCD and the chamber all at one time. As you can imagine, it's probably cheaper to hire one auditor to do all three than it is to hire 3 separate auditors. So that has been put together at this point.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion or anything to approve to send this out?
Yes, but I also need a date. We had originally put on here December 11th for them to respond by. I wanted to make sure that that was enough time.
What is that, 3 weeks away now?
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that date? Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, we get none,
Right.
we put it back out, right?
But yes, we do need a motion to approve this.
All right, we need a motion to approve the RFQ for auditors with a date due back of December 11th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond,
Zeno,
Blanchard, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Burton, aye. Railroad easement.
So another document you have in your packets would be the easement documentation as well as the site management plan that was provided to us from, I believe they're Hercules. They are asking that we sign off on this to complete the easement for Lee Avenue. I had our legal team look at it. They said they didn't see anything super that we should be cautious about. The railroad came back and said the same thing, that they didn't see anything super.
It's not a staple piece right here, right? Yeah. She's got it.
So we just need to have an approval to sign off on it. I can send this out with the documentation for you guys to review as well, if you'd like to.
Is there a time, I know on the last one with the collateral piece for that, there was a time frame that it had to be done.
This one isn't. Oh, if the Afton, are you talking about the Afton one?
With the railroad?
No, there isn't with this one.
Okay, we're good.
Nope.
All right. Yep.
The railroad hasn't signed off on it either yet.
Yeah, and then we'll vote on all 4 of these things at the next meeting.
And the site management plan is the plan that specifically says what we can and cannot do and how we have to proceed with all of that. So definitely something to look closely at.
The easement was relative to broadband along the railroad.
It is not.
Everything from that basically, right? If you want to do any digging, if you want to do any type of work there, you had to make sure that it was appropriately done. Obviously. I mean, that's way too simplistic, right? If there's a spill there, it wouldn't preclude us from doing any digging or any work. It would simply mean we would have to involve and engage the DEC and others.
No, but what we heard earlier relative to broadband, does that change this requirement?
No, we would still need that easement, they want that easement regardless, so that there's an ability there to do, but we wouldn't need to use the railroad to dig, so it wouldn't be impacted by this easement. Does that make sense? The easement, they're requesting the easement regardless for that property, but you're right, if we don't have to dig, this would have no impact on us. Does that make sense? That's correct, Shane, right? We would, doesn't matter to us. If we wanted to dig and that came back, we could. If we didn't need to dig and we go on full, it doesn't matter. We still need this.
But either way, the railroad would be the potential route.
No.
Might
Not
be
even
go right up
railroad
12,
anymore.
might go right up 12 or something.
That's
So it might not,
That's why
this
I-
might have no impact
why I
whatsoever.
asked the question.
No, yeah, you're right, might go right up 12, right, Shane?
Yeah, the amount of money that they asked for per mile per year was astronomical.
Was it crazy, the railroad's number?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was in the thousands.
Oh, no kidding.
Mhm. I think it was 9,000, right?
It was like $9,000
$9,000.
per year per mile. It was like,
50 miles.
yeah, so it was like $500,000 per year just in the lease.
That's what AT&T pays, though. That's why they're looking for that
Can't
number.
blame Nathan for trying. Can't blame- But so no, honestly, it wouldn't have any impact on us.
But I mean,
If we keep going, and it wouldn't have any impact on us being able to do broadband, because that was too expensive, so.
All right, we got 4 minutes to stay under our hour goal every meeting. Any reason to go into executive session?
No, but can I share some good news for
No,
DCC
just-
chat?
Yes, please.
I'll keep it under. So as you know, we put out the small grant fund for Development Chenango Corporation, and there was some concern that we weren't going to get a response. Well, we overachieved that. We have currently 17 applications with a total ask of about $604,000 with a total economic investment of $1.2 million.
Wow.
So now, not all of those will be funded. We only have $340,000 to spend, but now we have a list and some proven plans to bring to grants and other options that we might have available. So definitely a big,
Great
big
news.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
Anything else?
Do we know anything about what's going on at Woods Corners at the Chobani plant or whatever?
I've not heard it. You made me laugh out loud, no, but I'll try to reach out to them. I've not heard any more about that, Jeff, so I don't know if that's real or if that was Memorex, but I haven't heard any more from my contact there. I'll call Kathy and see if she knows anything. Last I heard, again, I told you guys there was some mushroom company that was gonna put on there, and some organic mushroom, exotic mushrooms, but I haven't heard any more about it. Out of Oxford, RC. What's that?
I said that would be a great property.
That's the one we talk about. That's the one that changed. That's the one I ring the bell on every time. That's 89 acres of floodplain, undevelopable land with a centralized power structure that's totally inefficient. So you got 6 buildings out there, all powered by a centralized boiler that somebody's gonna have to figure out how to subdivide. Nobody wants all the buildings at one time, and you can't build in the floodplain. So what do you do? Boy, floatable solar panels would be awesome. If you could do that.
Good question.
I don't know, Jeff. I'll find out though. I'll try to get you an answer.
Anything else? Awesome, good conversation today. All right, hearing nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, we are officially adjourned.
30 seconds to get to your plan.
Oh, look. Under
That's
budget.
an hour off.
Oh,
Oh, please.
Nobody turned that one back.
nobody turned it off, so what can we do for now?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I have a lot that I can do.
I ran a
Okay.
room full of